my loves. Welcome back to another podcast episode with your host, Jourdyn. If this is your first time here, welcome. I want to first tell you that FLY stands for First Love Yourself. So with everything that I produce to this podcast is going to signify how I'm personally learning to love myself, and for that I am learning to fly, and that's exactly where She's Learning to Fly comes from. And today I am so excited to allow you into this podcast episode with my good friend Tiff, who's actually one of my best friend's older sisters, who I've never really had the privilege to really know her and know her story. So today we definitely dove into her story as becoming a therapist and what she's doing now, how she's been able to navigate through change and allowing herself to slow down and live a more present lifestyle while being in this season of change and trying to figure out what her direction is next. And you will learn everything about Tiff and her story and learn how to navigate change and what it means to take care of your mental health and overcome obstacles and all of those good things. And also we do touch the topic of podcasting because we both do our own podcast. Tiff has her own, and we dove kind of into why we started our podcast, and if you're wanting to start your podcast, what you can take as advice from us and create your own podcast. So I hope you guys are extremely excited, and I want to give you a warm welcome to today's episode. Love you all. I also really hate the fact that it's starting to do this with Zoom now. I don't know if you've noticed.
I've never done a virtual podcast, so I didn't even know how you do this.
Really? Oh my gosh. I feel like this is the only way I know it. But okay, so if it comes in organically, we'll talk about podcasting, because I feel like maybe some people would like to know more about podcasting.
Yeah,
So let's try to fit that into our conversation. But yeah, I'm so excited to have you here. Thank you for being here. I first just want to ask you your story, so for all the listeners listening can really understand, who is Tiff?
Yes. Well, Tiff, me, hello. My name is Tiffany, but I've been going by Tiff these days. You can call me either. But basically, I am the older sister of one of your friends, so that's how we met. You guys went to college together, and my background comes from being an ex-therapist, I say. So I went to do my undergrad in San Diego, and I was there for 6 years, and I studied communication and psychology. And then I joined the PR world for a little bit, didn't love it, went into tech for a little bit, didn't love it. And then while I was in San Diego, I realized I wanted to go back to school and become a therapist, just because in my life, I've been going to therapy since I was 8, and it's always been something that I wanted to do, but just never thought I could. I thought it sounded honestly like too much school. But then once I graduated and I took some time off, I then felt in a place where I was ready to go back. And so I moved back to Northern California to be closer to family. And I did 3 years in graduate school, and I studied counseling psychology.
Wow.
And my program had an emphasis in marriage and family therapy. So basically, I was on the path to become a licensed marriage and family therapist.
Okay.
And I still could. So basically, after the 3 years, you just need to get 3,000 hours in the field supervised. And I actually started that. I worked in the field for 2 years in the school system as a school-based mental health clinician. And it was basically like therapy in the schools as much as you could do, which was interesting because it wasn't like private practice where they come in for this hour slot and it's very focused and they want to be there. With schools, it was a little bit different. Some kids did want to be there, but some were mandated by the school. And also sessions had to be about 20 minutes because they couldn't miss too much class time. And so it was challenging to really help in ways that were going to be long-term or in depth. And so it was all about connecting them to outside services. And then COVID happened, and I just took a break from therapy. And that was because everything in my life was heavy. I didn't feel in a place to help support other people in that way. And I wanted to be honest about that. And so I took a break, and I thought that I would just take the summer off because it was the school system. So it was kind of perfect. And then I just realized I didn't want to go back. And so for the last year and a half, I've been self-reflecting. I started a podcast. I did interior design for a little bit, but I've kind of been all over the place and am now just getting to a point where I'm ready to go back into the mental health field. I love having my podcast, and I'm basically just trying to figure out how to be the best person I can, you know?
Yeah, totally. Oh my gosh, I commend you for becoming a counselor. Sorry, not counselor, a therapist.
Yeah.
I went to school initially to become actually I don't know if I wanted to become a therapist, but I went into school being a psychology major, and I
Cool.
ended up changing to kinesiology, but I always have found myself so interested with mental health and mental wellness and everything that has to do with your brain. And I guess my first thing I want to ask you is like, did you feel triggered when you were working with these students? Because I feel like in my life, even right now, it can be very hard. And I guess that's why even I took a step back recently from working with people one-on-one, because I realized I have so much more work to do on myself. And, it's one of those things where you battle with yourself, like, can I do it or can I not do it?
Right. Right. Yes. And that was something that we talked about all throughout grad school, which was how do you take care of yourself so that you can help other people? Because we knew we were going into something heavy. And
Mhm.
yet I still was triggered. And that happens to all of us. A lot of my friends are still therapists. And so the importance of that is having a supervisor to bounce things off of, going to your own therapy, which I was the entire time, but still, you're a human being. And especially when you're working with youth, I was calling CPS every other day. And you just see some things and hear some things that, um, depending on where you're at in your own personal life, will affect you in different ways. And so I think that I was not prepared for how burnt out I was going to be after graduating, and what the reality of taking on clients was going to look like. And at one point I had like 60 kids I was seeing in a week, and
Wow.
I just got so overwhelmed that I completely had to take a step back. And I think that was the best thing I could have ever done, not only for myself, but for my future clients, because sometimes I think people stay and just try to push through it because as mental health professionals, we don't want to admit that we're having a hard time too.
Yes.
But if you're not honest about that, then how can you help anybody else? And so, yeah, that's why I took my time with it. And just now, a year and a half later, am I even thinking about coming back? So, yes, I was triggered.
Totally. Wow. That makes me feel so good in my heart. I know anyone who's listening to this can understand, like, you have the ability to go get help, even no matter where you are in your life. You can think you're
Right.
the happiest, most successful person, but still knowing that you have opportunity and room within your life to go get help and seek help is like so okay. And I think that's so underrated within our generation, as younger adults who think we have it all together. At the end of the day, like, none of us really do.
Yes, I just recorded a podcast today. It was like, please admit you don't know things, ask questions. Why are we all pretending that we know? I just think you can connect with people in such a more authentic way if we were all more real about what's going on for us, no matter what background we come from.
Totally. I think the best thing I've ever done for myself was stay or to be a curious person. And
Yes.
I find so much within that statement that continues to push me forward, and not allowing me to stay in the same place that I am. And if I ask more questions, I usually tell people, like, I'm sorry, but I'm going to ask you about 30 to 50 questions right now because I am curious and I want to know. If
Yes.
it's, doing with professions or, mental health or whatever it is, it's like I've always been a curious person and I've always wanted to ask. And I think
Mhm.
that's what allows me to be so hopeful in life. And
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, how have you been able to work through moments of self-judgment?
Oh my gosh, I have them all the time. I'm still working through them. And therapy is a big part of my life. I go twice a week still. And that's something that we're working on constantly because I am, and I know a lot of people say this, but I am my harshest critic. And even when other people tell me I'm doing a good job, it doesn't mean anything, unfortunately, until I believe it. And I have
Yeah.
such a hard time believing it that
Mhm.
almost the moments that I'm not judging myself are um more they happen. What am I trying to say? They happen I'm more judgmental than not of myself,
Yeah.
basically. I don't even know when I'm not judging myself. And so to work through that, I try to stay really mindful and present and
Mm.
be paying attention to where the messaging is coming from, who I'm listening to, and just basically listening to myself, because I think that um, when I start looking outward for accolades or needs that I'm not meeting myself, that's when I get more critical. And so just being kind to myself, checking in, those are the ways I um, remember to stop judging. And also, I picture my inner child when I'm being mean to myself and I'm like, would you talk to that little baby girl like that? No, so stop.
Yeah. Oh, that gave me chills right there because I think I've had a
Yeah.
moment this weekend. Sometimes like I forget about, trauma work and working with my inner child and neglecting
Mhm.
that. And in moments of frustration and being really hard on myself and being judgmental, I forget sometimes to think about my inner child. Like, what would
Yeah.
that little girl need right now? And like that just brought tears to my eyes because it's
Yeah.
true.
Help
Like,
her. She's frustrated. She needs you. Help her.
yeah, help her. And the fact that she's still there, I think a place in my life is trying to figure out one, how to forgive myself,
Yeah.
and still being able to be so present within my own life, but not forgetting the past. You know what I mean? Like there's like that balance of
Balance.
seeing, what's happened in the past and forgiving yourself while
Yeah.
still being present. Have you been able to like manage that within your own life?
That's a really good point, and that is interesting. I think I'm in a period of transition right now with that, where I've recently said, I'm so tired of my story. Like my past, I'm so tired of hearing it. I'm so tired of repeating it. I'm so tired of it
Oh,
dictating everything
yeah.
I do. But yet, I don't want to forget it
Hmm.
because I want it to continue to inform things. And yet, I want to allow myself to take space from my past and make room for a new future. So I agree. I don't honestly know how to balance that exactly, but I think um, it's being honest with yourself and challenging yourself constantly to be aware of what you're doing and why. And
Yeah,
as long as there's intention, yeah.
I had a coach and she does this activity where I forget exactly what she called it, but like, oh, what are you doing? And in moments of like being really upset with yourself or saying you're getting in an argument with your significant other, it's like stopping yourself and asking like, what are you doing? If you're gripping onto something, if you're frowning, like naming all these things to come back to your present body. Because I feel like so many times I get wrapped up in not being so present within my own body. And that's where, I struggled a lot in my life and where my anxiety took over myself is because I like felt
Yeah.
so, what's the word? Disassociated from myself.
Yeah. Like you need grounding.
Yeah, and I feel like I use the term like being afloat, like I'm not down here, I'm like up here in my head. And
Yeah.
so that what she had us do is like name the things, and it really reminds me to get back into my body. And so when I have those moments of anxiety or self judgment or just harping on myself, it's like, okay, what am I doing right now? Like what's
Right.
around me? Like what can I do to bring me back to this present moment?
Yes. And I love that. I used to do that with the kids in the schools when somebody was having a hard day or they just got in trouble and they came in. I would um, do exactly that, but with their senses. What do you see in this room? What colors? What do you
Mm.
smell right now? What do you hear? There's kids playing outside. You hear your own breath. So, and then all of a sudden, exactly that, when you direct your mind to the present, it allows you to figure out what's actually going on. And then you can go from there.
Yeah. And I think there's that step right there that so many of us forget to do.
Yes.
And we leap onto, the fifth step rather than that taking that first step, which, you probably understand, like that is what causes our anxiety and to be anxious. Yeah, that's such an amazing thing to do. So anyone that's listening, take that into your own hands and use that within your own life. And moving forward, how have you been able to work through, self-judgment and still try to be yourself while other people around you may not understand either you, your story, where you are in your life, all of those
Yes.
things.
Oh my gosh. First of all, I've just had to let that go this year. There's a lot of stuff I say and do, especially now that I have a podcast. I describe it as my most authentic version of myself. And so I am putting myself out there constantly. And I am self conscious sometimes, but I really do feel that at the end of the day, my only job is to be happy and take good care of myself and not hurt other people. And as long as that's what I'm doing. People can like it, they cannot like it. Um, it really doesn't matter as long as you are aware of what's going on for you. I will say it can suck to not feel validated and seen and heard by those around you. And so for me, it's finding, I only have a few, but core people who know what you're doing, who can talk to you beyond the surface level stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I think that that's important to have somebody who sees it and gets it and knows, but also just knowing that unfortunately, no one is ever going to be able to understand it or see it in the way that you hope or want them to just because they can't hop into your body. And so, how do I make peace with knowing what I'm doing, being good with that, and having that be good enough? Is kind of what I'm working on, but also just, I don't know. I have to be around people who also want to be growing, even if we're doing different things. If you're not about that life, I don't know. I just can't. I can't
Yeah.
relate to.
I like to call it messy action because I this is a personal question I truly wanted to know because I feel
Yes.
like I'm in the same place in my life, and I battle, I go back and forth, and that's finding that balance in between
Yeah.
of, let's be honest, like having to cut those people out of our lives who don't support this new version of us. And some people may not understand that. And, I've done a lot more harm than good doing those things, and I probably could have done them a little bit better now that I've learned from those mistakes.
Yeah.
But they're so necessary. And I don't think people realize when you take away that negative energy, even if you don't mean in a bad way, once you remove all that toxic heaviness, it's like you can
Mhm.
breathe. You don't have the pressure of being that one version that those people wanted you to be. You
Yeah,
have
I
the
want to
freedom now.
totally. And I just don't understand because I want all the people around me to grow and thrive. And so I don't know if you get this, but like as I've been becoming, I don't even know what I am or what to call what I do, but just you can hear it in certain little comments or certain little things. Oh, that's cute that you do that. And there's a difference between that and someone's like, you go, girl,
Oh
you know?
my gosh, yes. It's so true. And it's like,
Yeah.
I talked to my boyfriend about that, and he'll like say some things. I'm like, not to be rude, but that's not what I wanted to hear. And that's like
Yeah.
exactly the complete opposite. But he's like, but that was like a nice thing. And I'm like, but that's not exactly what you meant by using those words. Like
Right.
I'm reading through, and he's like, I don't like that you're doing that. And I'm like, I'm sorry. That's just who I
Yeah.
am and what I've learned to do. But it's so true. It's so
Yeah.
true. And again, it's like one of those things that a lot of people again skip that step. And what I used to teach my clients was like, that is one of the first steps you have to take is you have to remove all the things that don't support the new version that you want to become. You might not know who you are. And by the way, I wanted to say, I don't know who I am right now either.
Yeah.
I'm a no label type of gal. Like I don't like having labels. And again, with being in
Yeah.
that season of life, it's like, it's okay. You don't have to have labels. You don't have to know anything.
Yeah, this is such an exciting time. And I think it's actually really beautiful to not know exactly what's coming next.
Yeah. And I was going to say, what season are you in right now? Like paint us a picture of what that looks like.
It's a big period of transition right now. I'm in flux. I'm trying to be flexible and open to lots of new opportunities. I also am very mindful of my time. And so I've told myself that I will never work 40 hours a week again. I can't, at least not in a 9 to 5 situation.
Mm-hmm.
I can't, especially not in the therapeutic world. I don't think I can see that many people in a week. And
Yeah.
so figuring out what the new boundaries for me will look like as I take more things on. I'm being really mindful of who I hang out with. I'm interviewing for a lot of jobs right now, and some have asked me to come on, and I've, after the interview, just because of how I felt from the vibe,
Mm.
have decided not to. And I really want a job right now, but I'm being choosy because I know that whatever I put my energy into right now, um, it's going to take whatever I do, it takes from that energy. And so I want it to be something I'm invested in, I'm passionate about, a place that values me, and vice versa. So I don't know. I'm basically in transition where I'm kind of just like got really wide open eyes and ears right now. I'm trying to feel out what's around me. And I am just honestly, my gut is running everything. I'm going off of that. I'm planning a wedding. I'm doing my podcast. I'm doing a lot of things, but I'm also doing nothing at the same time but reflecting. It's really, really weird. There's a lot and going on, and also a stillness going on, and it's messy, but I love it.
Yeah, first of all, congratulations on your engagement. I feel like I'm
Thank you.
jealous of you. I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
I was with Tony the whole time of just like knowing what's happening, and it was just so fun to be on like that side and just see that come together.
Oh,
So congratulations.
thank you.
And yeah, I can relate to that so much, that there's so much like messiness, but like stillness is still there.
Yeah.
And I love that you said like you're allowing your gut to run your life, because I think that is what everyone's goal is to feel deeper rather than logically having to think. You know, we think about when we're first babies, and I'm actually nannying right now. I actually just got like a part-time job, and that's something that I've had to overcome as an entrepreneur, is like, okay, I need something a little bit more, one, to fulfill my needs as a human and like human interaction, and to love
Yes,
something else other outside of like what I'm working for myself,
totally.
and just wanting a little bit more money in the pockets, you know, that's all this is. And
100%.
I've been working with this baby, and she's a complete newborn, and I've never worked with a newborn before, and just learning about babies and how much they move off of what they feel. And it's
Yes.
like, how come, like, when does that leave us as babies or as humans, as little infants? Like, when does that leave us? And if we could revert back to that way of life, like, where would I be now?
Mhm.
And I don't think people realize how much, when you step out of your head and get into your body, that's what I tell myself, is get out of your head and get into your body, how
Mhm.
much your body can really allow you to guide you to where
Yep.
exactly where you're supposed to be. You know, if you're religious or not, if it's God's plan or not, like allowing you to be exactly where you're supposed to be for that next open door to come, or that door to close, or, you know, whatever next step is within your life.
Yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can control to make that happen, and what it's just going to happen as it should. And I always think about that with babies, about how we're all born a blank slate, and it's not until we have these experiences with other people where we start to get confused and believe these things
Mm-hmm.
about ourselves, and maybe become more closed off to the world. And so exactly connecting to that and remembering, before anyone told you what to think or what to believe, who were you and how do you experience the world, and kind of seeing it like that. Again, it's hard as you get older and you have more and more responsibility to keep that lighthearted openness to the world. I get it, but I think that the more we do, the more we will enjoy our lives.
Yeah, totally. And I think, or I should say, was there a specific moment, like a pivotal moment, that allowed you to take that step back and realize this is not the route that I want to go into life anymore, and I need to figure out a new path and a new way of living life? Because I think we all have like that moment of where we're like, I've had enough, I can't do it this way anymore, to get to that new season of, okay, I'm going to allow myself to be more intuitive and live more of an authentic lifestyle. And I know there's like that gap that so many people are, I feel like, are so scared of, because there
Mhm.
is so much unknown. Again, there's the, you know, getting rid of toxic people and changing your lifestyle and maybe moving, or whatever that, you know, unknown looks like. And, you know, what did that look like for you?
Yeah, well, it actually was a year in the running, because I at this point had 3 jobs. I had never not worked since 15. And exactly, I was like, I went to school to get my master's to be a therapist. That's what I'm going to do.
Mhm.
And um I was telling myself I can get through anything for a year. So I would say yes to these jobs, think they sounded really shitty, but I'll just try. Sorry
Mhm.
if you can't cuss on your
Yeah,
podcast. I
you
don't
can cuss. You
know.
can
Okay.
do all the
Um,
things.
and but I worked in the school year, like I said, in the school system for 2 years. The first year I didn't really like it, but then I went back and I thought I can do anything for a year. But I knew that I didn't really want to, and I didn't listen to myself. And so over the course of that year, not all the time, but several nights, I would come home and cry a lot. And I knew, like, this can't be my life. I can't go to work, come home, cry, freak out about having to go back tomorrow, repeat. And
Mm.
it became that so much that I literally, like, every time I would wake up to go to work, I wanted to be sick. I wanted to have a reason not to go. I wanted to quit. I thought about
Yeah.
driving my car away and just like, I don't know what happened. I don't even know. And so eventually I was like, I am the only one who can change this. I'm allowed to say no. I'm just going to have to quit. I don't know if I'm going to get another job right away. It's COVID. I don't know what's happening. I know I'm not licensed. I know I don't have any savings, but all I know is I can't feel like this
Mhm.
anymore. And
Mhm.
so I just need to stop that, and I will figure out the rest. And so that's kind of how it happened.
Sometimes it can be so simple and we make things so complicated.
Yes.
And it's the moment where you said like you were crying, and that's a physical sign of what like your inner life telling you
Mhm.
this is not right for you. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. And it's
Right.
time to make a change. And for me, I got really sick. I got really sick to a point where I almost got an autoimmune disease. Like I had clients
Mm.
telling me like you're on the route of getting oh my gosh, autoimmune disease. And
Yeah.
you're only, I think at the time I was 22. And they're like, you were too young to be this sick. And I was like, I am literally the healthiest person you ever know. Like I've played sports my whole life. Like I'm very much so into mental health, like all these
Mhm.
things. I'm like, what is happening? But it's that,
Right.
physical experiences that you're starting to feel and see on your outer
Yeah, the
life.
physiological stuff, totally.
Yeah, that is telling you, okay, it's time to make a change. And so I feel like a lot of people have a hard time realizing, or asking themselves, I need a sign. And I keep seeing the same thing. It's like, if you're asking for a sign, that is your
That
sign.
is your sign. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it's like, that's so
Totally.
true. Like, if you're truly looking for something to alternate your life or change your life, it's like, it's that feeling that you were already feeling. It's that
That's the
fire.
thing. Don't
Yeah.
wait. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Totally, totally. And I know that it can be hard to change your situation. And I feel like I was in a very lucky place to be able to have a partner that I live with that can help support me. And I understand that not everybody can do that. And so I got to take this time, which not everybody gets to do. But if you can, or even if you can take a year and a half is extreme, but even like just do something for yourself. Call up a girlfriend, take a weekend off, do something. Um, just pay attention. And I honestly, another sign was just like staring at the clock all day. I don't ever want to feel like that again.
Yeah.
That means I don't want to be here, you know?
Mm. I remember when, because like I said, I was nanny during college, and I remember this one time you just reminded me. And I remember I was sitting there, and the same thing with myself. I kept looking at my phone, like, what time is it? I want to leave. I was like itching to leave, but I was like asking myself, like, why are you wishing these hours away? Like that means you're wishing your life away. And
Yeah,
why am I wishing my
yeah.
life away? Like that's a problem within itself. And that's when I took a step back and I was like, okay, Jourdyn, let's just try and be so present within every single moment of every single day and see how you feel. And I honestly, within just doing that, I felt so much better,
Yeah.
just to being more present within our bodies and not thinking about the 20 million
Next,
things I needed to do.
right. Like you don't have anywhere to be but right here.
And how have you been able to navigate the season of your life of changing while having a partner? Because I feel like a lot of people don't talk about this and
Mm.
don't realize how hard it actually can be.
It is hard. And actually he's coming on next week and we're going to talk about going to couples therapy together.
Oh
But
God.
um it has been a challenge because I truly believe that your romantic relationship is one of the most intimate experiences you'll ever have in your life. And it basically holds up a mirror to all your shit, all their shit, your combined
Yeah.
shit, all the shit. And so um, you can't, like, there is no way to avoid that or get around it. And so I think when you are choosing to be in a relationship, because it is every day a choice to be with that person, um, you're choosing to work through that stuff. And so for me, it's important to have a partner who is also working on themselves individually,
Mhm.
because I need to have my own thing. I need them to have their own thing. I need them to continue to grow and change because I am doing it so quickly as well. And so there became a point in our relationship because my partner had never been to therapy, didn't talk about mental health ever before, coming from a completely different background. And me, even as a therapist in a relationship, we looked at each other and I was like, we need tools, we need help. We're we're not getting anywhere with this same issue. And so I think it's knowing when something needs to change.
Mhm.
And I looked at him and I was like, would you go to couples therapy with me? And he was like, yeah. And it was that
Mm.
was everything to me, because I honestly think if he said no, I would have probably, I mean, I would have fought for it, but if he still said no, I don't think I wouldn't be with him, because um to me, the unwillingness to even go talk about it is concerning. And I just need it to be open. I need to be able to talk about what I need to say. I
Mhm.
want you to say what you need to say. I want to be honest and transparent. And I want us to always be um, growing. I never want to stay stagnant. I never want to be your everything or have you be my everything. I just want to
Yeah.
be, I want it balanced, you know?
Yeah.
add to my life.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. That's amazing because again, I feel like I have gone through the same thing as you.
Yeah.
And actually my boyfriend and we broke up, and I if I could go back and redo a couple things, I probably would have. But
Yeah.
it got to the point where we both were not communicating, and this, like you said, the same thing kept happening, and a lot of it I knew had to do with me, and a lot of it had to do with where I was in my life, and it again, being sick and not understanding what's happening within my own body.
Yeah.
It felt like I was just like being pushed out of my own self. Like it was just like that Jourdyn's gone, like this new one's coming in, and
Right.
it's happening very rapidly. And it was a moment of just like throwing my hands up, being like, I have no idea what's happening, but I just have like this feeling that I need to do this. And we ended up breaking up, and within like 3 months we got back together, but not even realizing we were, it ended up being a very like pleasant breakup. It was very hard because I was so in love with him and he was so in love with me, and there was no problems other than just that internal problems within ourselves that we just could not communicate and get past to where we were. And that time of me being able to work through a lot, and him himself realizing, okay, maybe she was a little bit right, and not, I kept saying it was a me thing, not a you thing. And I know everyone hates hearing that, but it was true. But he took that on himself to grow as well. And so when we re-met, it was like we were two different types of people again. Like our spirits both grew so much that when we came back together, it was like it was not the same at all. It was so different. It was like a whole different relationship. And that completely put us, I swear, like 5,000 steps forward than where I saw a lot of my friends in their relationships, because we had such a strong foundation of, I feel this way, I'm going to communicate that to you right now, and you're going to communicate that back to me, and we're going to work through this together.
Right.
And still, again, having that same desire of growth. And I think that's so important that a lot of couples forget, is that you have your own life, I have my own life. Yes, we're together, but you have to remember you are your own separate person.
Yes. Oh my God. How many times do you have a friend and you never see them again and they get in it's just, to me, I don't understand that. And yes, we need to be constantly working. And I get my nastiest I've ever been with him. Like, I'm not proud of things I've said and done in my relationship, but if you're going to choose to share your life with somebody, I really feel like you owe it to not only them, but yourself to be aware of your own thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. And you can't do that if you're not working on yourself individually. And we're not in couples therapy anymore, but we're both individually doing our own therapy, because and it doesn't have to be therapy. Maybe for you or for anyone, it's running or it's whatever your thing is. We just have to have our own things, because he cannot be the only person I talk to about everything.
Totally. And, was it hard for you to help him realize? I know you said you asked him if he wanted to go to couples therapy, and he said yes. But do you think it was hard for him to start opening up to you and understanding his emotions? And I feel like I'm asking this because I know myself, but I want people to hear this from other people as well, that it takes time. People, say like man is like training a dog, which I hate that. I hate that. But in a sense, it's like when you do that work within yourself, and that your partner's seeing that, they're going to be like, and they're going to catch on. They're going to catch on to it because they see you growing. And it's like, okay, if they see you growing, they're going to want the same thing. It's a ripple effect.
And I don't think it's their fault, because I think in our culture, they don't learn how to express themselves. And it's honestly a shameful thing if they do. And I made it sound really simple. Like, he just said yes. No, he was nervous about it, worried about what people would think. He didn't want me to tell our friends at first that we were in couples therapy, because what would that mean? And so there was resistance, definitely. And I totally get that. And so it was just being honest. What are you afraid of? What would that look like if someone did find out you were in therapy? What would that mean? And addressing the actual issue, which is, I feel like if I ask for help, something's wrong with me. Let's talk about that, because that's not true. And once we addressed that, then there's nothing threatening about talking to somebody about your feelings, because you're just trying to understand yourself. That's all.
Yeah, no, totally. It reverts back to what you're saying. It's like, it's the conditioning of all of us in our human nature to want to do things on our own, but realizing that we all do need help, and it's so okay. And like, even when I see my boyfriend upset, I tell him, like, take the time. Like, if you need to throw things, if you need to hit the pillow, like if you need to scream, if you need to cry, like when you go on a walk, like go do that thing.
Get it out.
Don't bottle it up. I said, that's the last thing I want you to do, is to bottle it up. Even if you overreact and you get mad about the little things, like I want you to like start to experiencing your emotions. And once he started to understanding his emotions, he started opening up to me more. And I think once that started happening, it's like, okay, now this is really
now we're going somewhere.
Yeah. Now this is a relationship where I can see us getting married and having kids and raising a family. We got over that hump of being a man and having to have that hard shell. And it's like, no, you don't have to be that way. And I even remember my dad saying, like, your boyfriend's a different kind of male. And I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean? He's like, he's very, I was like, emotional and very open with his emotions. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, it's not something you were taught, huh? And he was like, no, not really. And I was like, exactly. Like, this is the new era of men that we're trying to raise. And I have a little brother who's, how old is he now? I think he's turning 15. Oh my God, he's turning 15. And having, a mom and two older sisters of trying to get him to be, a very emotional man, I should say now. He's a little man, not a boy. And seeing him growing up that way, it's like, it's really cool to see how much we can learn and evolve within our human nature.
Totally. And that's the kind of parent I want for my kids. And so that's what was always looking for in a partner, because we're all humans. We all feel it. Please don't pretend like you don't. I don't have time for that.
I know, right? I was going to say, for those people who actually, because I want to get into podcasting and talk a little bit about podcasting, what advice do you have for those who want to start a podcast?
Well, I think you should do it. I think anyone who wants to start a podcast should. I think it can be an intimidating space because there's like a million bajillion podcasts, and everyone, I got a lot of flack when I first wanted to do one because people said, like, what do you have to say that's different? And the answer is everything I have to say would be different because it's coming from my perspective. And that doesn't mean there's no room for me, so I think you should take up space. I think you should do your thing. I think podcasting is a cool way to express yourself and be creative. And I don't do it with video. So for me, it's helpful because how we were talking about how I hear a lot of other people's voices and I judge myself. For me, I'm alone with the microphone. I only hear my thoughts and words, and I put it out to the world, and then they do with it whatever they want. But it's kind of like a journal for me and a documentation of my life that I get to look back on and will forever have. And I just think if you want to do it, you should do it. It was a lot of learning and all the things. It's a lot of work. And you should know that. I feel like I spend so many hours of the week working on something that only ends up being 45 minutes, but it's my passion and I think it's really fun. And I think don't be afraid, just jump in. I think we can all support each other. And I want anyone's podcast who has one to succeed.
Yeah, I love how you said that you can take up space. And that's something I've been telling myself lately when I'm in, my hardest moments is like, Jourdyn, you can take up space. And I think a lot of times we believe that we don't have the ability to take up space if you don't have all the money or, the clothes, the car, the house, or whatever it looks like. It's like we're all here and we all can have the ability to take up space. Also having other people take up space. Like there's so much room for all of us. And once you really allow your mind to hold on to that and understand that, your life completely changes because you really start to be you. You really start to step into yourself. And like you're saying about podcasting, it's a way for you to really just word vomit and talk about different things. And for me, what I realized, it's taken me a while. I started it last February, maybe in 2020. And it's taken me a while to understand how I want to do things. I went from doing the single episodes or doing, talk about mental health to connecting with people. And I went back to, just myself. And I realized I love these because I get to communicate with other people. We get to have these conversations and connect and have a safe space to have these honest conversations where I don't feel like a lot of people have the ability to have honest conversations. And so when they hear us having honest conversation, it's like, okay, they can be honest. Like I want to be honest as well. And being able to bring that into your life.
Yeah. When I listen to podcasts, they make me feel like I'm not alone. So the fact that some people have told me mine does that for them is beyond to me because I'm just being myself. If you connect to that, that's fabulous, amazing. It's almost like creating a small little community that exactly what you just said, like they're on that same wavelength. They want to continue to push themselves too. They don't want to do the surface level thing, and I'm still new. It's only been about 6 months, and I don't have like a lot of followers. I don't have like a ton of downloads. I don't have all the things that technically makes a podcast successful, but that's not necessarily true, because all you need to be successful is one, like, just not, I was going to say one listener, but not even that, just doing it for yourself.
Yes.
Even if nobody ever listened, I honestly think it would still be the thing that I'm most proud of that I've ever done, just because it's cool to see myself allowing myself to be me publicly. Let's do more of that.
Yeah, like like what else is better than that? Is to just be yourself and letting the world see you. And that has been such a hard part of my life. And a lot of trauma work that I've had to go through is like allowing the world to see me as me and accepting myself the way that I am. And that's exactly what podcasting has done. And it's like, even if you kind of want to hide, YouTubers love to put their face out there. I wasn't super comfortable with that. So if you still want to hide behind a screen, this is the perfect way of doing it. You get to voice yourself without having to put a face to it. And I love how you said that even if one person's listening, or even it's just doing it for yourself, that is the most successful thing you could do. And it's true. Like, I don't have all the downloads or the listeners either, but I keep coming back because this is what fills me up. And I think for anyone who wants to start a podcast is asking yourself, like, what's the why, and making sure that you fall back to that why.
Yes.
We can talk about that with everything, if you're not doing what you're wanting to do with the why, and you're doing it for success or for outer accomplishments, it's like, you're going to fall away from yourself. And I've done that many times over and over again. It's something where I'm trying to build a little bit more consistency with being true to myself.
Totally. Me too. And I've had haters. I don't know about you, but Instagram, I mean, it's public. Anything you do, that's people are going to hate. And it's been a great exercise for me to have a thick skin and remember, like, not everybody's going to like me. That's okay. It's beyond to me that people go out of their way to let you know they don't like something you do, because I would never, but like, I'm grateful for that happening, because I keep going. If I stopped because they said that, how unfortunate, I respect everyone has an opinion, but I don't let that dictate how I choose to live my life. As long as I'm not hurting anybody, that's all I care about.
Yeah. So I want to ask you more about like the techie stuff now.
Okay.
What do you record your stuff on? Because I know you said you don't do it visually. How do you record it?
GarageBand.
Oh, I can't get into GarageBand. I'm not a GarageBand fan, man.
No, it was a struggle. It was I feel like it took me weeks just to figure, and now I've got it down, but especially when I would interview people, it's a whole, getting the tracks to stay together was a whole thing. But how do you edit?
So right now I'm doing it through Zoom. So then I record it here and it downloads as the audio separately, like automatically already separates the audio. And then there'll also be like, obviously the visual and audio. And then I take the audio and I use WavePad. I use it on my iPad. I don't know if they have like an app on the laptop or computer. They probably do if they have it for the iPad. But it's called WavePad. And that's where I'll just like, put the file into there. I'm still trying to figure out the audio, because like my last episode, my intro was very low compared to this audio. So it's a very big learning curve. So again, anyone listening, I'm doing it for a year and a half, and Tiff's been doing it for 6 months. It's still a learning curve.
Yes. It took me forever to figure out how to get a second mic and get it to work. It was a whole, and I was really quiet in my first few episodes, and now I've got a little studio set up here.
I love it. I saw it last time I was at your house. It's so cute.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's now that I've got my things going in GarageBand, I have like my same tools I use. I wouldn't say I'm super good, but I was thinking about it the other day. I was like, I feel like I could get paid to edit someone else's podcast. Like, I feel like I'm there.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you begin to learn how to do all the different things that keep something going. And that's what I learned. And what I actually kind of like being an entrepreneur and, creating different things is like the learning curve. And it's like teaching yourself something that you have no idea or no education about doing. And that again makes me so proud. And that's what makes me feel successful.
Right, right. Because it's interviewing, that's a skill. It's talking to people. It's graphic design for your promotion of the episodes.
Yep.
It's content create. It's all the thing. And you're right. There is just so much that goes into it that I just lost my thought. But
Yeah, it's a lot. There's just a lot to it. And again, I commend you for making a podcast
you
and doing it.
too.
And for anyone who's listening, like you have to go check. I love your Instagram about everything about your podcast because you're so brave. I sometimes will watch your videos thinking like, Jourdyn, would you do this? And I'm like, no, I'm not there yet. I'm trying to get there. I sometimes
Yeah.
tell myself like I'm not funny because you're funny. You're funny as hell.
Really? Thank
Yes, you're
you.
funny. And I just don't see myself like recording funny videos like that. But I think one day I'll get there. I'm trying to.
Yeah, yeah, of course. I love that. And I think that's the beauty of that space is there's so many different things. Whatever speaks to you, like, will be your thing. Like, I see your videos where you're talking over like clips of you doing stuff, and I'm really amazed at that. That's what I want to
Thank
start being able
you.
to do. Yeah, and so I think it's cool that we all have these different little things that make us unique in a really in a space that's kind of at a certain point, like Instagram all starts to feel the same.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I'm just trying to be real on there and just remind people like, let's laugh about stuff. Let's not be too serious. Let's be real about what's going on. And
Totally.
so thank you for saying that because sometimes I feel weird when I put stuff out there, but it's cool that people don't hate it.
Yeah, no, I again, no, I think it's amazing. And for those people who are listening, I don't think people realize how much we love when someone simply says, I love this, or this is an amazing job, or a retweet, or a like, or a comment. Like, I don't think people realize how much that means to us. And not even about, monetizing. It's not, for me, it's not about the money. It's
Right.
about helping people and helping myself.
Right. Me too. Me too. I don't know about you, but I'm not making money on my podcast.
Me either. I know. I was actually just thinking today, I was like, how cool would it be if I were to make money, but yet put it into a nonprofit
Right.
or to donate it? And I've been creating another separate brand, but I haven't talked about just yet. And wanting to do like some type of thing of like some of the proceeds go to mental health
Yes.
or something of ways of that, And I think I'm getting to the place in my life where I'm not doing things for myself, but I'm doing it for other people. Obviously, this podcasting, yes, but wanting it to take up another notch and,
Right.
Using this platform, making money if I choose to do that and being able to donate that. And I think that is just like
Yes.
amazing.
I have a friend who is on OnlyFans doing that. Like most of the money she makes there, she'll put to charity.
See, and people who want to put down OnlyFans, you hear that? It's
Right?
use it for good.
Yes. Don't knock it.
Yeah, it's whatever you do with whatever you have. It's like
Right.
that's what makes it the best.
Yeah.
My last question I want to ask you, kind of reverting back to what we were talking about previously, what kind of advice could you give to others who are kind of experiencing heaviness or seasons of change? Like, what advice could you give them?
Just know that it's not going to be forever. Healing and life is not linear. And so I'm doing emotion with my friend right now. That's like a roller coaster. But it really is that the good, nothing lasts forever. And that includes the good things. And so just remembering that, it's a season of life. It's going to happen. If we didn't have the lows, we wouldn't appreciate the highs, unfortunately. And so really, instead of trying to rush it away and get to the next high part of the roller coaster, just feel it, ride it out, take good care of yourself, stay aware. And that's really all you can do. Kind of expect that life will be like that and do what you can to set yourself up for success. Surround yourself with people who make you happy, do things that feel good to you. And that's all you can really hope for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I like started to really love myself during my lows, and that is when you can love yourself through the lows. That's when you have expanded and grown without
Right.
even really anything externally happening. It's like your internal world has changed, and because of that, your external world is going to change as well.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think that's the tip. Love yourself even when you're low, please.
I use the term fly, like first love yourself, and been something for me where I always revert back to, because in any moment of anger, frustration, sadness, it's like, what can I do to fly right now?
Right. Oh my God. I love that. Is that why your podcast is She's Learning to Fly? I love that. I love that. I love that.
Right. Yeah. Thank
Beautiful.
you. Now I want to do these rapid questions just to get to know you on another level. So my first question is, what is your favorite place to travel?
My favorite place to travel right now is the coast, the Northern California coast. I go where there's no cell phone reception. I like to go for the weekend to a little Airbnb and go silent.
Yes, the ocean brings me so much happiness, and like that's why I'm like smiling ear to ear, because it's just like, especially up here in Northern California, people don't realize how freaking beautiful it is from San Francisco to Sausalito to Marin, all the way to Bodega and Sisson Beach. Like all of it is just so beautiful, and people I think take it for granted that we live next to the ocean and the mountains.
And there's so many places that you can explore. Like you could never hit them all.
Yeah. Oh my God. I haven't. I've lived here my whole life. Absolutely. If you had one wish, what would the wish be for?
Ooh, that's a good question.
I'm gonna put you on a hot spot.
My wish would be that in my lifetime, I don't know what it's going to specifically look like, but my wish is that in my lifetime, I feel fulfilled by the end.
I think that would be my wish too. I think so. I think that's
with it, and I'm like, I can go now. You know. Yeah.
I think that's literally like all that I'm trying to get to within my life is just to feel fulfilled for sure. What's the most beautiful place you've ever been to?
Ooh, the most beautiful place I've ever been to.
Or it could be like the first place that comes up in your mind right now. I feel like that might be like, it can have like a sentimental feeling to it.
I don't know why I'm thinking of this, and it's kind of meta and creepy. It's not a place. I was gonna say inside of myself, and that sounds it's because I'm not gonna say that one. I'm gonna say just Mexico. I just think there's always these bright, vibrant colors and sounds, and it's a pretty, I don't know, I just find it to be a pretty live, fun place. Oh my God, my dad.
I was like, I know all of you guys love Mexico. I know all of you love Mexico.
Our fam is, we love Mexico. Okay, don't mess with the good time in Mexico.
And I want to go to Mexico with you guys sometime, because every single time I hear a story from Tony about your guys' trip to Mexico, I'm like, you guys all have so much fun.
I know. Are you going to see her when she comes back soon?
I hope so.
I hope so too, because she's coming home for Christmas.
Okay, well, make her see me, because I know.
I don't know what the dates are, but I will.
Okay, perfect. And then my last question, what is your favorite go-to TV show?
Oh my God, there's so many. But right now it's And Just Like That, because it's back.
Ooh, where's that? I never watched that.
It's on HBO. It's the reboot of Sex and the City.
Oh, okay, yes. Okay, duh. Yeah, I knew that.
Right now it's that. But I feel like I don't like that answer. So Real Housewives. I like reality trash TV that like takes me out of the world. I don't want to think too hard. Because I can do that on my own with my own.
Yes. Okay. I love that. My last question. Where can anyone find you if they want to connect with you, listen to your podcast, all the things?
Well, I am at Hey Everyone, It's Tiff on all the things. I only have a Facebook and an Instagram, so that's where you'll find me. I'm still trying to figure out TikTok. Can't really figure it out. There's too many things, but Hey Everyone, It's Tiff, and thank you so much for having me, and I want you to be on my podcast in season 2, please.
I would absolutely love that, and for everyone who's listening, I will put all of Tiff's links down below so you guys can find her podcast, all the things, so you can stay connected.
Thank you so much.